What's up, family? It's your brother Speech. The Drake versus Kendrick Beef has way bigger cultural phenomenons going on than what most are talking about, so I'm going to talk about it. First of all, Drake didn't actually lose this rap battle. He lost a few cultural battles. Bars wise, Drake was better. But there was no way to beat the phenomenon where a good number of artists became resentful of Drake's consistent success and jumped at the chance to be a part of bringing this brother down. This is called a backlash or a backlash effect and is associated with the crab in the barrel mentality, where people team up to pull anyone that's rising up, and especially if they've been rising up for quite a long time, they want to pull them back down to their level to avoid feeling inadequate themselves. Never in the history of rap did so many artists simultaneously try to snuff out the momentum of one artist. Future and Metro Boomin did 2 entire albums dedicated to this aim. One of those albums featured Kendrick Lamar in a diss song, It's Like That, where Lamar, in my opinion, opportunistically claimed himself to be the only rapper worth being at the top. Lamar in a diss song, Euphoria, among other songs and things he said, admitted that he hates Drake, and he hates the way he walks, he hates the way he talks and dresses. Then, of course, Rick Ross, The Weeknd from Canada, Kanye West, A$AP Rocky, and others, they all piled on top. All of these dudes, huge, they piled on top to take Drake out of the picture. Even Dr. Dre, literally the legendary man himself, sided with Lamar during the LA Pop Out concert. And this is all despite the fact that literally all of them people I mentioned previously praised Drake and used Drake's talents to boost their own gains. Now, that's some phenomenon that we have to talk about. Now, if you mix age-old jealousy and envy, which is a real phenomenon, with the colorism phenomenon, which in the United States began during slavery, where lighter-skinned enslaved people were treated better by white enslavers than darker-skinned people. Lighter-skinned people were often given work inside the house, while the darker ones were out in the field. The lighter ones being in the house increased their chances of being literate, increased their chances for other opportunities, and this developed contention between the lighter and darker colors of African American people. Drake is half African American and half white/Jewish, which brings in a whole nother historical tension and phenomenon between black and Jewish communities, stemming from a complex mix of factors, especially in urban areas where Jews often held and hold positions as landlords and shopkeepers, and they have different perspectives on issues like civil rights, Zionism, and affirmative action, and so on and so forth, which sometimes led to the accusations of the Jews prioritizing their own interests over black people's interests. So that's another phenomenon. To add to that volatile soup, which is real volatile, the mixed race phenomenon. Most people already know that race is a fallacy, y'all. It's just a social and a pseudoscientific construct, started by mid-century Europeans to justify brutal and evil institutions of slavery. Now, these Europeans created a one-drop rule that made mixed race folks equal black folk. But the truth is, we all have genetic material from a variety of populations, and we all exhibit physical characteristics that testify to mixed ancestry. Biologically speaking, there has never been, and there never will be, any pure race. All populations are mixed. Or maybe there was a pure race in the very beginning with Adam and Eve, or however you want to look at that. But in today's reality, the person that has one white and one black parent more likely has a visceral understanding of both the white and black experience, while non-mixed people often claim that mixed folks don't have any visceral experience in either the white world or the black world. And that's where messy things get even messier. Here's Drake, a dude that has often exuded confidence in navigating these two worlds because he is from these two worlds. But too many black folks saw that as code switching, where I think for him, he saw it as just his reality. Add to all of this the class phenomenon. The public debate about the black underclass has, for many years, been dominated by two popular views. One considered poor blacks as collectively the victims of racial, economic, and welfare policies that are not in their power to change, and the other view considers poor blacks as individuals, i.e., blacks can make their lives better through personal effort. These two views were best symbolized by W.E.B. Du Bois versus Booker T. Washington. Du Bois, whose family had been free for generations, belonged to a small group of blacks whose suffering consisted primarily of caste barriers rather than ignorance, hunger, poverty, social disorganization, etc. And although he was aware and well aware of the social problems of the black lower class, they weren't at the center of his political agenda at that time. Whereas Booker T. Washington, born a slave, on a plantation, was willing to put civil rights off for another day and concentrate on a program of self-help for the great masses of poor blacks. His program and his thoughts and theories was intended to turn us or them into a segregated but economically self-sufficient working and artisan class. Use your hands, make a way, make a living in that way. I personally believe in both as effective possibilities to get black folk out of poverty. Both. But over the years, the Du Bois position gained the most ground. It became more popular, and the idea of self-help for blacks was pretty much forgotten with all the legal struggles about civil rights and so on and so forth. And the idea became, to some extent, even unrespectable as time would move forward. Self-determination became something that wasn't really talked about a lot, and government help and so on and so forth was the bigger topic. Now, as all black life is from white life, ghetto life is 1,000 times more apart. Different language, different economy, different educational system and social ethics. White society, though physically less than a mile away from the ghetto, is so distant that in the ghetto, a brother or sister rarely hears even a hint of intense race consciousness talks that pervade the rest of black society and in black colleges and universities. We're talking about these things. Everything that has happened to lower class blacks over the decades, from segregation to migration north from the South to civil rights movements, seem to have separated poor blacks from society even more, and separated them from whites, and separated them from the South, from middle class black life, and to some extent or another, from uplifting doctrines altogether. So this is where the Grammy Award-winning Kendrick Lamar song, They Not Like Us, gets a lot of its power from. It's why it won so many Grammys last night. This age-old idea that any person, but namely Drake in this instance, and as I'm speaking to you now, with his mixed race, his lighter color, his middle-class upbringing, is not like the rest of us. People like that have that viewpoint, they hear his songs like, starting from the bottom, now I'm here. They hear those things as blasphemy. Like, you didn't start from the bottom. And this is why so many people are jumping on the hate Drake bandwagon. Music fans, and unfortunately even music critics, are just simply sheep, and they're just following along. They don't really care nor think about any of these deeper truths. If Drake is hot, then they're on board. And remember, for a decade straight, Drake has been extremely hot and they have been on board. Why are they on board? For clicks and likes. Something as simple as that, not thinking deeply or critically. And when he's not hot, or Kendrick gets the upper hand as he has at this point, they're happy to get off the Drake train and to jump on whatever train gets them to a higher position, clicks, likes, and whatever. Sheep. I can go on into the US versus Canada phenomenon, the East Coast versus West Coast phenomenon, because there's a lot of these things going on, but I'm just tired of it all. But I had to speak about it, because all I really want to say is we're witnessing something far deeper than meets the eye with this rap beef. We're witnessing a ton of societal dysfunctions that have been buried underneath a slew of songs and jewelry and cars and dances that we've been rocking to for the last decade or so. And this battle unearthed all of that. And it would be great for us to talk about it and hopefully work through it. But this is my 2 cents. I'd love to know what y'all think.